I'd like to invite you to stay with us now and to join me for a fireside chat without the fireplace, of course, with a man who has become an entrepreneurial icon in the sharing economy. In 2004, he co-founded the first global online social marketplace for photos, known as Fotolia.com. He has led the company to its rapid rise to the world's largest micro-stock photography site. He is here today to talk about his company and the world of sharing. Please give a warm welcome to Mr. Oleg Tscheltzoff. Hello, Oleg.
Hi,
thanks for coming out to talk with us. So I called you an icon in the world of sharing. What's it like being an entrepreneurial icon right now in the world of sharing?
Well, maybe before that, maybe I should step back a little bit and explain what Fotolia is.
Yeah, tell us what you do. Yeah.
So Fotolia is a leading marketplace for stock photography, where literally any photographer can come, create an account, post pictures, and we will have a bunch of editors who will check the quality of the image, see if the image has, stock relevancy, if it's a legal image, and if yes, it will be accepted onto our search engine, and many designers and buyers in the world can come to the website and download these images, license these images for a certain amount of money, usually very micro-priced, between $1 and $10, and use them for different illustration needs. And when this sale happened, the photographer would get a cut of the revenue.
And is the photographer paying to have his or her pictures on your site?
No, it's free to submit.
It's free to
submit, and then there is a revenue share when the images are sold, absolutely.
Okay, and what percentage then do the photographers receive?
It's roughly 50%. It depends a little bit if the photographer is an exclusive photographer or non-exclusive, because some of them, we're just a distribution platform, so they might choose to distribute only with us or to distribute also through other agencies. So depending on that, we have a different percentage.
Why would a photographer go to you instead of, let's say, there's Getty Images, for example? When we're watching the news and we see lots of photographs, usually, up in the corner we see Getty Images. Why would they choose to go to Fotolia instead?
We are a totally open platform, and I think that what makes us totally different from Getty, who usually was very, very difficult with accepting photographers. I think at their peak they had maybe like a couple of hundreds of photographers working for them. So we're a totally open platform. Anybody, from an amateur or photographer can come, upload an image with us, and from Portugal, and start selling it overnight, in Japan. And so this ease, through the network and our platform makes it very, very available. And as a result, after 10 years, we have 350,000 active photographers, where probably Getty still has a couple of hundreds. So that's the main difference.
Do you see Getty Images as your main rival?
Well, there is 2-3 players doing the same thing as we do, and we are the main player on the European market. So we're very strong with Europe. All our founding team has been European since quite a long, and we're competing with guys more US oriented. So I don't see Getty today too much as a competitor. They're a competitor as they're in the same industry, but we have, in fact, much more customers. We have millions of customers, and in fact, volume-wise, we sell much more images than they do, because they sell images for between $200 and $300, where we license images between 1 and 10. So volume-wise, we license like 1 image every second, or even a couple every second.
So you're winning through economies of scale right now.
Absolutely.
Okay, which allows you then to just sell those photographs for a lower price.
Yeah, absolutely.
Why? Maybe this answers part of the question I wanted to ask. Why does sharing make sense for an entrepreneur today?
Well, it's not only about sharing; it's also about crowdsourcing. We need to define properly the thing, but sharing and crowdsourcing enables an entrepreneur to get, in a way, the best talents worldwide in a very easy way, but by having a very, very strong platform and an open platform, you just enable people to come and to share their content, crowdsource the content from them. And after, of course, everything is competitive, and for the ones who are really good, or niche, or have niche content, or who are really good, this one succeed and can, leverage the platform to make a lot of money.
How can I, if I'm a photographer and I put my photographs on Fotolia.com, how can I be assured that when a customer comes to the site, that they're going to see my photographs first. I mean, there's also competition on your site, right?
Absolutely. So search is our key topic, and it's extremely important to give chances to new photography. Otherwise, we'd always have, more or less over a certain period of time the same photography selling. So our algorithms take into account the novelty of an image, and when an image is good and new, so good, it means that our editor found it good, so got kind of a good rating by our moderating team. Plus, it's a new photography, it would get a pump, a push. So this image would go, more or less in the first pages, and then it has for until a certain period of time, for this specific search sell. If it doesn't sell, it means that, it has been exposed but without sell, so the image is not so good, and it probably will go down in the long tail of the search. Mm-hmm. But if it's a good image, it will then start to be rated by our automatic system, where we count, the amount of views, the age of the image, and the amount of downloads, and this is how we manage, to have all the time, good selling images and new images very much in front of the.
So you've got kind of maybe two gatekeepers here. You've got your editors; they're looking at the photographs, but you're also then, I guess, using the analytics to see how the customers look at these pictures.
It's the customer behavior. The role of the editor finishes after 15 days. It's just for the first 2 weeks while the image is online. After that, it's totally, a new rating made by the customers, and per country. Yeah? So we wouldn't show, the same images for a specific search in Japan than in Germany, which I think it's obvious. If people search for, I don't know, like lifestyle images, family images, in Korea, they wouldn't expect to see like German, family, and vice versa. So we need to be very local.
What you're doing, Oleg, is very disruptive to the world of photography, isn't it? Some people, see you as an entrepreneur. Some people also maybe see you as a troublemaker for photography.
Yeah, probably. The one who can see us as a troublemaker is the people who have kind of a granted position, with the older, stock agencies. And it's like, being first in a classroom of 20 is always easier than to be first or in the top 10 in a classroom of 200 or 2 million. So, of course, competition is stronger, but more than being destructive, I think that our business model has been constructive, because if you compare the amount of images, that has been licensed today versus the amount of images that have been licensed 10 years ago, in fact, there have been an explosion in the paid licensed images. Mm-hmm. So what does it mean? It doesn't mean that necessarily, people use more images. Even this happens for sure, but one of the main reasons is that our business model enabled to fight against copyright infringement, because it used to be that people were just stealing, kind of downloading images without paying the proper rights, and using them for different things. And by bringing our business model, a very cheap and affordable business model, we were able to convert these people who were after money, and they couldn't afford to pay $300 to license an image, but they can pay $1. And there's millions of people like that who converted to a professional service, and who switched from copyright infringements to professional service.
Talking about copyright infringements, that's a great topic. What do you feel about search engines like Google, for example? If I go in and let's say Hugo Chavez, for example, he died yesterday, and I go into Google Images and I want to see all the photographs, the last photographs that were taken of Chavez. I can download those pictures. I don't have to pay for them.
No, but that's the problem. First, it's illegal. People should know that you don't have the right to do that. That if you want to license an image, it has a copyright, and you should go to the owner of that copyright or to a distributor and get a proper license.
But there's nothing on Google that's stopping me from doing that.
And Google is not helping us. Google. Normally the role of a search engine is to aggregate, content and show a small summary of the content, like a snippet of the content, and direct, to the whole content. And then it makes sense for everybody, because they have a very, very big traffic. You just get, the summary of what you're interested by, and you go to the website and you see the full thing. And I think this has been the talk with the press, and press is very well organized, probably better organized than stock photo agencies. A lot of talks have been around that, but nothing have never been said about images. And in fact, we, with our image business, are in a much worse position, because you cannot take a summary of an image. So the result is that Google is just, aggregating the full content of the imagery worldwide and proposing it totally, full size with high res, on their website. And when you click on the button, especially the new search on the image where you say view original size, they could replace it by download in a certain way, because it's the same result. Then you do a double click right, on your computer, and you can download the image. And
have you complained to Google?
Not yet, but I mean, we have been talking with other photo agencies, and everybody is concerned by that, and we should start maybe, complaining about that, because it's a clear, copyright infringement, and it's not going, in the right direction.
What about taking them to court?
I mean, I'm personally against, courts. I mean, let's first try, to see what we can do. A good example is the deal we did with Pinterest, because people were coming on Fotolia and were pinning, the images that were going to Pinterest, and it was also an obvious, infringement. So we just came to a deal where each time an image is pinned on Fotolia, it gets an attribution on Pinterest, which is fine for us because it's advertising, for Fotolia and also for the photographer. So if the person wants to see the real image, he will get a link through the IPTC, it will be displayed totally on Pinterest, get back to us, and I think this is good, Then it's win-win situation. We get most exposure, but we get also the attribution. And the problem with Google is that we don't get any kind of attribution.
What would you like to see Google do then? I mean, you say you don't want to take them to court. What would you like to see them do voluntarily?
No, but it's about attribution. I think they should limit probably the resolution of the image they're displaying first, and the second thing is that they should more clearly explain, that this image has been scrapped, from another website, that this image might have copyrights. They're not able probably to know it, but so you need to go to this link and to this website from where the image comes to check, whether this image can be used or not. A disclaimer, just that with attribution already would solve a lot of problems.
Okay.
And I don't think that is very difficult to do. It's just a goodwill. If they have the goodwill to do so, it can be done in a week.
There is, of course, the school of thought that anytime you start putting any kind of conditions on images or information in a search engine, you limit freedom or access to information.
Yeah, but it's not a question of freedom. Imagine you would own a hotel and people would come to sleep in the hotel and every day, they would leave without paying. With digital it's a little bit more complex because it's digital, you can just exchange, on the cloud, image or everything, but this is more or less the same problem. People who own the image as of today, they're the copyright owners and they have the free right to decide whether they want this image to be distributed for free. And in fact, there are many, many free sites for stock photography, but usually not very high quality because producing stock photography requires an investment. So it's a business, So if they own the copyright of this image and they decide to sell it, for $1, $2, $3, $5, or even $300 on a website, they need to be listened to and they need to get a piece of the cake.
Yeah, what you say is interesting. I interviewed a member of the Pirates Party here in Germany about half a year ago, and they are for total freedom on the internet. And I said to them, if you go into a bookstore and you take a copy of a book, you have to pay for it. If you walk out of the bookstore with that book, that's considered stealing.
Yeah.
I said, isn't the same thing if I see a file online, a photograph, and I copy it, and now I have it, am I not stealing? And he said, no. He said, you're sharing. And he said there's a difference.
No, because I think that the person who you talk to is not totally aware of what sharing probably in that sense is and the copyright. There are different types of license. An image is attached to some license and sharing agreement. So if you go and you say, okay, you go on Flickr, for example, and you accept, the general terms of Flickr where we say your image can be downloaded, used, or reused, you do it, purposely. So there is no problem. When people come on Fotolia, they want their image to be sold. They want to get a certain license for the image. They didn't decide anything else, And then there is the search engines and some other, platforms who scrap all this content and who distribute it elsewhere, kind of not the same way we do, but with a very, very easy access to it. And it's not. I don't think it's the philosophy of what the photographer wants.
Okay. Any questions from the audience? We're a little bit blinded here by the light. Any out there right now? I know we've got a couple on the Twitter wall. Well, we've actually got one right here, Oleg. How do you handle copyright issues with private people? It is known, for example, okay, Getty Images is very strict here, but I think you've answered that. Will Fotolia start to broaden from only photos to maybe video or will you stay specialized?
We already do videos. So we do, I mean, our goal is to propose any type of digital content that might be used, you know, for creative people. So it's photography, it's illustration, it's videos, which we all this we already sell online. It's vectors, you know, this special type of mathematical, I would say, images that enable you to expand them, you know, infinitely and just keep the same size. But also probably one day, you know, audio, sound, you know, it can be maybe templates, it can be anything, you know, what creative people need, because this is our customers, and what we want is to help them become that Fotolia becomes really the best, you know, destinations for them to get all the cheap, great, worldwide creative content.
Let's talk a little bit about a company that you've invested in, Sketchfab. I was reading about that. It wants to bring 3D to the web. Talk to me a little bit about that.
Well, Sketchfab is more a technology. It's not a really platform today. It's a technology that enables to visualize 3D illustration on the web in a very cool way through the browser. So I think 3D grows. It's a future, you know, and with a technology like Sketchfab, it's possible, you know, just to enter the object and to surf, I mean, to look it from down up, you know, in a very, very easy way, which you cannot do normally through a browser. So more and more things, you know, might be sold, you know, products or whatever, you know, in the future through 3D, because I think it gives a much better understanding what you're looking for or buying for, you know. They can also be a partner, you know. Why not in the future for a 3D, you know, platform or marketplace that Fotolia might go in?
What other ideas do you think are interesting? I mean, where are you investing your money right now, you know, besides Sketchfab?
Well, there is two things. I mean, I love marketplaces, obviously, with creative content. So everything that goes, you know, to the type of customers we know. So music, Audio Micro, we invested in Audio Micro, which is what Fotolia does, but for music, you know. So different things like this. Or I like to invest in, because I think we live in a global economical crisis still, you know, in the world. So people are very concerned about money, and I like services that propose, you know, services that are used by people but for a better deal. So Fotolia is exactly that. You know, people always use images. You know, we just cut the price by 100 times, and the company were able to grow.
And aren't you? You're making money, aren't you, with Fotolia right now?
Yeah, it's very profitable.
And it's very profitable. You're an example of how sharing is actually the way to make money in a recession.
Yeah, absolutely. For example, Airbnb, you know, my friends of Airbnb, right. You have an asset, you have an apartment, you know, you don't use one room, why let it, you know, just empty all the time? You know, you have some money problems, why not rent it a little bit? You know, it can help you make some money. Fotolia in that sense is that also. Even if 80% of our content is professional content by agencies and professional photographers, we still have amateurs, you know, who make a couple of $100s a month. It might not seem a lot of money, but when you have, you know, problems and you're a good photographer, it's money, you know. So that's good. Companies like BlaBlaCars, you know, where people go to work, you know, they just share, they co-share the fees for the transportation. Makes sense also. You know, you have the same service for cheaper, you know. So everything that goes in that direction, you know, of cutting costs but keeping the same service, I think has a great future.
How did you come up with the idea of Fotolia? Tell us a little bit, you know, about your background and what led you to founding the company? So
I was a founder of Amen, was a web hosting company where we're selling websites at that time, and there is the place that I met my partner Thibaut and Patrick. Thibaut was an intern there. All together we decided that, you know, he was working in the marketing department, and the images were very hard to get, even for us as a startup, you know, very expensive, and we came in with the idea, you know, to create a platform of free platform, you know, just for imagery. And it was the time where when cameras were more accessible, that the internet speed became faster, it was easier to upload, you know, and we just, you know, said, okay, why not, you know, why pay $300 where, you know, maybe my neighbor, you know, can do the same picture for $1. And we started like this, and then with all my connections in the internet web hosting world, we struck a first deal with 1&1, and then Strato in Germany. As in Germany, we'll speak about how we developed the German market. And we knew that everybody who needs a website, you know, needs imagery to illustrate the images. So we struck deals with them, and they started to promote us, and just it went like this, you know, and it started to grow and exponentially.
What are your strongest markets?
So we're very good in Europe because we have strong European roots. I'm French myself. I mean, all the founding team was French, even if we started in the US because I studied there. But we still had this European mentality, and we went very strong after the French, German markets, and all the European markets, followed. So. We got a very strong benefit by the fact that we're first here because we're able to get connections with local photographers. So we got the best content in a way of German people, of French people, of Polish people. And when buyers come to a website, every business in a way is a local business. So they were all looking, for local type of imagery. And we were the one who had the best imagery, of German, French, Russian, Polish people. And that's why we were able to beat the competition.
And expansion?
So we're today in 22 countries, so I mean the site is accessible, of course, worldwide, but the biggest markets are Europe, US. I mean, Asia is growing very fast. All the emerging markets like India, Russia, Brazil, I mean, there are 50 million SMEs, or even more, 60 million SMEs in the world, and I think that each of them is a potential customer of Fotolia because everybody has a website, communicate with customers, they send emails, so they all need images to make it look better. And as we all know, an image sometimes is worth 1,000 words.
And when you're talking about sharing, is it possible to talk about full penetration of a market or full saturation of a market? I mean, can we still talk in those terms?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Well, people will use progressively over. I mean, there will always be people who will do illegal, usage of an image. I mean, that's for sure. But then, I mean, for all the other companies, I think they will come to one of the players. I don't think that only one player will win because a website is made by hundreds of thousands, of photographers, and at the end of the day, it's the 80-20, mechanism. At the end of the day, I mean, there is maybe 20 or 10% of your photographers who really make a lot of money on your platform. So the other one a little bit frustrated, and as soon as another platform is growing, these good ones might go there. Yeah. So it means that when you're on the 10th page of a result, from Fotolia, you might be better being first, on another website. So this, counterbalances a little bit the fact for just one player. So I think it's kind of an oligopolic situation where there is maybe three, 4 players worldwide.
Yeah, talk about the notion of consolidation in the industry. Is that where we're moving now? I mean, could Getty Images come in and buy you up?
Yeah, they could always come if they want to spend a lot of money.
How much would they have to give you?
I mean, the maximum. As much as possible. Yeah, no, the company is valued high. I mean, there is some numbers. I mean, last year it was over $500 million, so and it was like a raise, so it was the valuation is higher. Yeah, it's an expensive company, but why not? But in any case, even if they acquire us, I think that there would be some economies of scales, on the platform, on some things that can be shared. But I think the brands still need to remain separate, because as I was saying, the photographers who are doing better off with us are not necessarily the ones who do better with the other guys. And if you merge everything, you would make some people unhappy. Yeah. So better to keep, the front line separate and maybe merge, the bottom line.
I wonder about this notion of consolidation. I mean, it just seems to be, it's a law of the market, right? That consolidation will eventually happen, and then it will probably become more expensive for photographers to display their work.
We live in a world, of open world, of open speech, and I think you cannot do these games, as it used to be, of raising price, just like this, and not caring, not respecting your customers, because it's very fast in a way, in a couple of years a new competitor can come, just take away all the unsatisfied photographers, create a nice library, sell 10 times cheaper, and through the web, forums, everything come and get traction. So we always need to think of that, and I think we're very well positioned price-wise and content-wise, but we need to be careful not to be too greedy and not to pull too much, on the different levers we have, and just let it go, And
when I look at what you've done, when I look at Airbnb, other examples of sharing, you guys have actually taken a very simple idea.
Yeah.
And you
a simple and existing idea.
Yeah, and you've revolutionized.
I think we took a simple idea, an existing idea, and put a business model that make this simple existing idea accessible much cheaper. customers of our Airbnb are people who used to go in hotels. I mean, you know, and at the end of the day, why to pay 300 when you pay 30? You can pay 30, you know, even on the corporate side. I mean, you know, you prefer your employees to pay less, you know, if you're an entrepreneur, for example. So for photography, it's exactly the same. And I think the services, you know, who really, you know, went in the e-commerce side, I mean, who took in the best way the sharing thing is the one who were able to aggregate, you know, the simplicity, the usage, already existing usage, and price.
On the Twitter wall, someone has asked, what was the last thing you shared personally on the web? Since you're a man making money through the share economy, what about you?
Well, it's now I'm sharing my conference with you through the web.
That's right, yeah.
So it's one thing, and otherwise I have also a portfolio on Fotolia, which I try to improve. You know, my skills in the beginning when I started the company, I thought, because I sold my last company, I thought that, you know, I would do just this to travel and make nice pictures. It didn't end up working this way, but I'm still trying to gain momentum and making nice picture and build my portfolio.
Were you, just, you know, for people to get to know you, were you a hobby photographer before you started Fotolia?
I always liked photography, absolutely.
But you weren't, let's say, a trained photographer making money with that.
No, hobbyist. I was a hobbyist photographer. I was a hobbyist photographer, and this is how Fotolia started. But with the amount of customers that we got over time, I mean, we were just overthrown by all the professional photographers. So 80% of our image collection now is agencies and professional people. But a good hobbyist photographer with very niche, you know, photography, like, I don't know, some special location in his village or things like this, or, you know, specific thing, he can do very well.
You come from France, you studied in the United States, the entrepreneurial spirit that you have, did it catch fire at home, or did it catch fire because you studied it in the US?
No, I think it's a question of personality. I mean, you know, my brothers are totally different. It's either you are or not, you know, I think, honestly, a kind of entrepreneur. But France is not helping a lot recently, you know, for entrepreneurs. So,
are you talking about Mr. Depardieu?
Yeah, Mr. Depardieu or whoever. I mean, but it's not, you know, the problem in France is that you always feel suspicious, you know, when you succeed. And I don't think it's a very good mentality to have, to push, you know, young people, you know, to try to achieve something. They take risks, you know, they don't go to work in big corporations, you know, for good secured money. They take a risk, they want to reinvent, they're full of optimism and ambitions, you know, and when all the legal side, you know, is already hard, but if in top of that, you know, politicians and press, you know, see every time somebody succeeds as somebody suspicious, it's a problem.
Well, you know, Steinbrück, earlier today, he was talking about this culture in Germany of being ashamed to fail. And I've heard a lot of people from France also saying that in the United States, people are almost proud if they have failed because it gives them a chance to try again.
You learn, and of course.
And do you think you profited by being in that culture?
I was a little bit in a different situation because I started, you know, my business life a little bit earlier, and I started it also in Russia, but totally self-funded. So I didn't have the chance, you know, to meet VCs. So everything I did it with my own money. So it might have helped, in fact, because I had huge pressure, you know. So it means that if I succeed, I lose everything what I have. So all the companies from the first one to Fotolia, I mean, we're all self-funded. But in the US, yeah, there is a better spirit, you know, about entrepreneurship for sure, and you're not seen as much as an enemy. I mean, when you succeed.
Yeah, exactly. As an enemy. That's a good way to put it. 2 questions. We're running out of time. You are open though to selling Fotolia. Is that correct? Yeah.
Well, I have partners, I mean, so I don't decide only myself, but I'm committed also to continue with the company and keep my stake, I mean, and, you know, keep
But you would be open to selling?
It's business, you know, so anything is possible.
And
it has to make sense, you know. I'm not the kind of entrepreneur who says, yeah, keep the baby, you know. If you know, it has to make sense.
Okay, it has to make sense. Yeah. And I was told to ask you this by a photographer friend of mine: are you the photographer's best friend today, Oleg?
I think we're the photographer's best friend because we are 100% aligned on the goals of photographers. The more we make money, the more photographers as a whole make money. The problem is we have 300,000 of them, so of course some might feel frustrated because their sales went down a little bit, you know, or didn't go up and everything. But all our goal is to, and we have a very simple model. You know, when we make money, the photographers make money. So the whole idea for us is to expand our revenue, you know, in the best way and share it in the best way with
and sharing the wealth.
Yeah.
Oleg, thank you very much for talking with us today. Thank you. Okay, that is going to wrap up the early part of today's program. We're going to take a lunch and networking break right now. We're going to resume at 2 p.m. We're going to be spending more time in the cloud. The topic's going to be Big Data Reloaded. So come back at 2 o'clock.